Yes, November sure can be a pretty serious month.
3, 2, 1, go! And they're off.
A time for searching. A time for serious reflection.
Some kind of funny keys. That is the silliest bunch of...
Thank goodness for December. Wait a minute. I know what this is. Time to build an even really bigger ice rink. We're going to try a few new things this year, but we saved all the boards and even all the screws and stakes from last year. We've found that 1x10s and 1x12 seem to be about the best boards to use. They're pretty inexpensive and very easy to store anywhere over the winter, over the summer months, and you can use them for other projects. First, and maybe most important, is to pick the right spot for your ice rink. I think it's very important to pick a spot that does not have much sun at all. Pick a flat spot that is also very shady. Some people, like us, have a slant to the backyard, but you can work around that. When you've picked the right spot, then lay out your boards and get your stakes. We've been using 2x2 by 3-foot stakes. Then, using great care, you can have your sledgehammer expert tap these into the ground. When the ground freezes, these will have pretty much strength, but probably not strong enough to hold a giant swimming pool full of water. Next, our expensive carpenter attaches these to the stakes with 1 3/4 inch screws. You can see that the downhill side is much higher than the uphill side. You can see that we've built the raised garden bed into the rink, and it certainly does not need to be a perfect shape. Now, last year took quite some time for the ground to thaw, and even longer for the grass to come back, so this year we're going to try something a little different. We bought some cheap rolls of 100-foot plastic, and we're taping them together. This is definitely not waterproof. The idea is just to help shape the ice, and once we have a large block of ice, it will last no matter what the weather is. Our hope is that the plastic will let the ice form quickly and more easily. And when it finally gets below freezing at night, it's time for Dad to get out the old hose and start spraying in the middle of the night in the freezing cold, and this way you can build up a layer of ice. If the ice is in the shade, it will not melt even if it is well above freezing during the day. The idea is to have this layer of ice before you get a heavy snow, and this way we can fool Mother Nature. Don't! Unexpected snowfall. Well, there's no way to shovel this snow out, so just put your cameraman or camerawoman in a sled, pull them around, trumpet down as best you can, and then turn on your sprinkler. But once again, one of life's most important lessons, if you get a heavy snow before your base layer of ice is made, you should smooth it out as best you can, because otherwise you get lumpy, bumpy ice that takes a longer time to smooth out. Oh well, maybe next year. Weather can be pretty freaky, going from 60 degrees one day to 20 degrees the next, and when you leave a sprinkler on with temperatures like that, you get some pretty weird things. I think if you have a nice flat yard, you can make your rink with no boards and no plastic at all. Just slowly freeze the ice at night, and when you have a big flat block of ice, it will last all day even if it gets above freezing. It's like a heat sink in reverse. When your ice rink is built on a big slant, I think it's important to let it fill in slowly from the downside up. Otherwise, your rink will form with a slant in it. But eventually it does smooth out. We allowed these large ice dams to form over the boards. I think this will allow the ice to fill in more evenly. So, here's the sequence of events so far. We were out of town when the large snowfalls hit, so it took several days for the sprinkler to cover over the lumpy, bumpy ice. But now it looks like we're just about ready to go. Except, you just never know when an overnight blizzard might hit. I think it's very important to try to keep all the snow off your ice. Especially in warmer weathers, snow seems to be poison to ice and eat small holes in it. We've got about 2 feet of warm snow here, so there's just one thing to do. Start using that snow up and call in some reinforcements. It's good to have workers who take their job seriously in trying to clear off the ice.
I was at the beach and it saw Kiki and she was all like, eh. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Then later, I was at the mall and this girl comes up to me. She was like, hey, that guy. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Then later, I was at the pool hall and this chick comes up to me. She was like, aw. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's my United States of whatever. Cause this is my United States of whatever.
Unfortunately, the igloo and the snowmen had almost completely melted by the next day, but the ice remained in pretty good shape. I use a push shovel for heavy snow and a push broom for lighter snow. In cold weather, you can probably leave the snow on longer, but in warm weather, it chews up the ice. Next, I get out the ice chipper and chip off any small nubs or bumps that formed. Then I get out a small bucket full of a long hose and use the Zamboni that we made last year. We used 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and I screwed a male attachment onto the end. You could easily use the female attachment. You just build a T with the PVC hose with 2 caps at the end and drill 10 or 12 holes across the bottom. I happen to use a female adapter because we have a small insulated hose shack. I use a water heater spigot on one end and a washing machine hose on the other. Now walk very carefully. It's very slippy when ice gets wet. Now the temperature's been in the high 30s this whole New Year so far, and you know what that means.
40 degrees.
40 degrees skating weather. Wahoo!
Yogi.